Hey, what's up guys? Megatalus Slayerthrax here, bringing you another edition of Mega Reviews. Today we'll be taking a look at Super Mario Maker, Nintendo's big Mario title of 2015, which just so happens to coincide with Mario's 30th anniversary, and seeing as though this is an anniversary title for everyone's favorite mustachioed plumber, the question that I'm sure is on everyone's mind is, does it truly live up to the hype and standards of quality that other Mario games have already established? Well, I say let's not waste any more time and jump right into the plot. And seeing as though this is a Mario game, a level creator based Mario game as well, the game has no story to be heard of. I mean, there's sort of a pseudo-story in the 10 Mario and 100 Mario challenge, being that Princess Peach is captured once again and it's your job to save her, but that's nothing new at this point, so I think it's best that we instead just jump straight into the gameplay. Super Mario Maker is split up into 3 separate game modes. There's the Course Maker, which, being the main selling point of the game, is where you can create your own levels in any of the 4 game themes provided, being that of the original Super Mario Bros. Style, the Mario 3 style, the Mario World style, and the new Super Mario Bros. U style. Each of these game styles also share the same 6 level themes, being your standard ground, underground, water, ghost house, airship, and castle themes. You can use any of these 6 level themes in any game style you want, meaning if you want an airship level in the original Super Mario Bros., a game that didn't originally feature them, you can totally do that. Want a ghost house in Mario 3? You can do that as well. This same logic also applies to the enemies this game features as well. Ever wonder what Mario 1 would play like with the addition of Wiggler and Kamek thrown into the bunch? Well, you can do that. The possibilities are virtually endless here with all of the options that are provided, and it serves as a form of infinite replay value without actually having any real levels to play through. Well, I suppose that isn't all true. There are sample courses to play, about 50 of them to be exact, but none of these levels are particularly interesting aside from the Nintendo World Championship levels, and even then, while they are challenging, there are levels 10 times as hard online that you'll most likely come across within the first few minutes of starting 100 Mario Challenge. You see, the 10 Mario Challenge mode is where you play through these sample courses, but the 100 Mario Challenge mode is where you play through user-created courses online. There's 3 separate difficulties, being easy, normal, and expert, and each features a set amount of stages to play through that are randomly selected from online. Once you complete any one of the settings, you'll unlock a new costume for Mario to wear. You see, this game has amiibo support, and when I say this game has amiibo support, I mean that you're able to use every single amiibo that's either already been released or is set to release in the near future, with the exception of the Mii Fighters. There are exactly 100 separate costumes for Mario to use, ranging from a Goomba to a Spring to other characters like Peach, Luigi, Bowser, Shulk, Mega Man. Hold on a second, I need to see this for myself. You can play as Sonic in a Mario game! What? That's like beyond comprehension. Forget the Olympics, forget Smash Bros. If you were to tell any child in the 90s that this would one day be possible, their minds would not figuratively, but literally explode into pieces. I digress. All of the costumes, with certain exception to a few Pokemon, have their own sound effects, music, and various poses and animations. For example, going back to Sonic, his traditional jump noise is here. His pose is that he just simply looks up into the air as the standard ring noise plays. His victory music is the level clear theme from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And what is probably the funniest addition of all, his death music is the Game Over theme, also from S3 and K. Simply amazing. With this mere addition alone, the doors are all open, all cards are thrown on the table, and the possibilities are literally endless at this point. Because not only are you now able to create all of the Mario levels of your dreams, but you're also able to create levels based on all of these other characters as well. I can't even begin to tell you how many Metroid, Mega Man, Pac-Man, Sonic, Donkey Kong, and Zelda levels I've come across online due to, once again, just the mere addition of these character skins. The amount of creativity some people have blows my mind, and it makes for some of the most enjoyable fun I've ever had playing a video game. However, with all of that said, this game is no perfect walk in the park. There are some legitimate criticisms to be had here, like, for example, the fact that while the level creator is relatively simple enough to get into, the game itself does not really do a good enough job explaining the overall mechanics and various shortcuts the creator offers you. For example, as of this recording, I've owned the game for nearly 3 weeks now, and I still have not the slightest clue as to how to change the hand that shows up on screen when you're editing, because the game never bothered to explain the process to me. Nor did it bother explaining to me that I can grab multiple items I've already placed down at once and either delete them or copy them to place elsewhere. Nor did it explain the shaking mechanic used to alter the behavioral patterns of certain enemies and various objects. Now yes, while it's true that all of this information can, in fact, be found in the digital instruction manual, that does not excuse the fact that it could have been better represented within the game itself. Another issue that a lot of people seem to have is the method in which you unlock things, such as the costumes themselves, the separate game modes, and all of the items and enemies. Yes, I said you have to unlock this stuff. You see, when you boot the game up, you're given only 2 game modes, being the original Super Mario Bros. And New Super Mario Bros. U, and you're also only given a select amount of items you can use in the course creator. The method in which you unlock everything is that you basically just have to play the game, or more specifically, play through the course creator for enough time. When Nintendo originally gave out the specific details for this game, they stated that, in order to fully unlock everything, you would have to play through the game for a short amount of time, once a day, for 9 straight days. That is absolutely absurd, and Nintendo shortly realized this when they announced not too long before the game's retail release that they were completely dropping this idea with a day 1 patch that instead made it so that you can unlock everything within just a few hours, as opposed to the original 9 days, just so long as you continue to play through the course creator for a certain amount of time. Now, some people would argue that this is still wrong on Nintendo's part, and that instead, everything should just automatically be unlocked from the start, and I honestly completely disagree with this notion. One argument I heard from another YouTuber, who I won't mention by name, was that this was comparable to purchasing something like Photoshop and having your options limited until you created something there, which I think is just a fucking ridiculous argument. I don't mean to come off as brash in any way, but I think the point you're forgetting here is that this is still a video game, meaning that despite the genre, there still should be some kind of overall task to complete coupled with a method in which you're able to complete it. In this sense, your goal for completing the task is unlocking the other game modes to use at your leisure, while the method in which you do it is what you're going to be doing anyway if you purchase the fucking game. I mean, what other reason would you have to purchase this game if you didn't at least have some intention of creating levels? Regardless, allow me to discuss my one other major issue with this game: its online feature. Now, don't get me wrong, there is certainly more good done here than there is bad. For example, being able to upload and share your levels with others is an awesome feature. Being able to scroll through popular courses and follow other creators so that you get notified when they upload a course is also an awesome feature. Being forced to actually complete your course before you can upload it online so that Nintendo knows that your level is actually beatable is also an awesome feature. However, not being able to search for courses, or even course creators for that matter, by name, and instead having to rely on this shitty ID system that is far more complicated than it needs to be, is bad. Not being able to properly sift through courses of any given difficulty without coming across levels that are either ridiculously simple or just fucking impossible is bad. This is especially notable in the 100 Mario Challenge, where the difficulty balancing is just all over the fucking place. If you choose easy mode, prepare to have your hand held for the entirety of the playthrough. If you pick expert mode, prepare to have your ass handed to you on a silver platter more times than you could ever imagine. You will more than likely drain through at least half of your lives before reaching even the 5th level. And keep in mind that you have to play through 16 of these fucking levels on expert mode. The only possible way you will complete expert mode is if you get lucky and come across a good chunk of levels that give you shit tons of lives. But even then, that doesn't mean much because you're only allowed to obtain 3 lives per every level, which means for every 15 or so that you drain trying to complete a single level, you'll only end up regaining 3 of those. And again, that's only if you're lucky enough to come across a level that hands out lives. And trust me when I say this, they won't come up nearly as often as you'd like them to. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, Brian, if expert mode is so difficult and easy mode is too pathetic, why not just play through normal mode? Trust me, I'd love to if it weren't for 2 major problems. One, while you'd think that normal mode would just be the right balance between these 2 difficulties, it truly isn't. Instead, what normal mode basically does is it mishmashes these pathetic levels and these Kaizo levels together with a few relatively normal levels thrown in throughout, meaning it's just as, if not more so, unbalanced than the other 2 modes are in terms of difficulty. My second issue is that you need to play through all 3 modes a certain amount of times to unlock all of the costumes. Each mode has a cap on how many costumes you can unlock by playing it, and once you reach that cap, you've basically rendered that difficulty mode useless, meaning you will eventually be forced to, and I cannot stress this enough, try and complete expert mode to unlock the rest of the costumes you couldn't access by otherwise only completing easy and normal mode respectively. These issues are all extremely prominent throughout multiple playthroughs of the 100 Mario Challenge mode, and I find it ultimately hinders the overall experience tremendously. Not enough to make this mode unplayable or otherwise non-enjoyable, mind you, but they are still major issues I felt needed to be addressed. One way to counteract these issues would be to just play through the basic courses mode, which is what shows you what levels and creators are currently popular, and it's also where you can search for various levels with the aforementioned ID codes that I despise oh so much. The only problem with this option, at least one that I find, is that you honestly reap no true reward from playing levels in this fashion. You don't unlock anything after having completed a certain amount of courses in this mode, nor does anything you obtain within levels actually mean anything once it's all said and done. You're just playing through levels that you've specifically chosen to play through, as opposed to having them be randomly generated for you. This especially makes getting lives in these levels even more worthless, considering that if you're playing through levels via this method, you have no lives regardless, meaning that if you die, no matter how many times you do, you'll just respawn from the beginning of the level to try it all over again until you complete it. At least in the 10 and 100 Mario Challenge modes, while you can only keep a maximum of 3 lives by the end of the level, those lives do count towards your overall life counter. Kind of counterintuitive, if you ask me. Okay, I'll just go in the corner now. One last issue I think is worth mentioning is that while this game does boast an impressive amount of content, I still can't help but feel as though there are plenty of things missing, such as various enemies like Chargin' Chucks, Bonsai Bills, Torpedo Teds, the Koopalings, and also various power-ups like practically everything in Mario 3, the Ice Flower. Hell, there aren't even any checkpoints in this game. It's like, where is this stuff? I mean, there's more than just that. Like, for example, a lot of people are asking for even more game modes, like a Mario 2 USA mode or even a Yoshi's Island mode, which both would be pretty cool, but I'm just trying to look at the game modes that are already here and the plethora of things that are missing from them. Still, while it would be nice to have a lot more at our disposal, with what we're given, I personally think is good enough, and still more than makes up for whatever is missing. With all that said, I think that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on Super Mario Maker overall. It's a fantastic game with, pardon the pun, endless possibilities that continues to make for an incredibly enjoyable time. And while sure, the game has its faults, as every game does, it's still far more worth it to pick it up and get a taste of just what it has to offer for yourself. Regardless, I'm Mega, and as always, thanks for watching. Peace!